All right, let's dive into Forever Magnolia. It's a paranormal romance novella, part of the Vampire Brides collection. Classic tropes. Small-town girl, mysterious neighbor, love story that's out of this world, literally.
Forever Magnolia. It weaves the familiar with the unsettling. We're in Hearth, this quaint southern town where everyone knows everyone, Sunday church, practically a social obligation. But lurking beneath this idyllic surface is a darkness, challenges the very foundations of the community's faith.
Yeah, it's eerie. The sheer number of churches for such a small town, like they're trying to ward off something sinister. Speaking of sinister, Millie, our protagonist, she's back in Hearth after a bad breakup, trying to find her footing when she has a series of encounters with Beau, the handsome and enigmatic neighbor.
Millie, a fascinating character. She embodies a kind of pragmatic romanticism, craves connection, but guarded due to past hurt. There's a scene early on. Beau rescues her. Not once, but twice. And we see these hints. He's not your average southern gentleman.
I love that cemetery scene. Her heel gets stuck. He effortlessly lifts her over the rocks. There's this undeniable spark between them. But as fans of the genre, we know the allure of the brooding vampire goes beyond just smoldering looks. What makes Beau more than just a stereotype?
The subtle details. The novella uses them to foreshadow his true nature. The lack of scent, his superhuman strength, that almost electric connection they feel. These aren't just plot devices. They hint at a deeper connection, more primal, one that will be explored later.
And just when things start heating up between them, bam, enter the vampire hunter. Kidnapping, ropes, knives. Definitely not your typical first date. Do you think the sudden shift to danger is effective, or does it feel a bit jarring?
It's certainly jarring, but it serves a crucial purpose. It introduces a sense of urgency and danger, contrasts sharply with the idyllic setting of Hearth. Plus, it forces Millie to confront her growing feelings for Beau in the face of a very real threat.
Okay, that makes sense. So, this hunter, utterly convinced she's doing the right thing, protecting humanity from a monstrous evil. But her methods are brutal and unsettling. It makes you question, what drives someone to such extremes?
The hunter represents a fascinating clash between faith and fanaticism. She believes she's acting in the name of good, but her actions are driven by fear and a rigid adherence to a belief system, one that demonizes anything outside the norm. It raises questions about the dangers of blind faith and how easily it can be twisted into something harmful.
And it's in this moment of crisis that we see Beau's true nature revealed. He rises to rescue Millie, and we witness firsthand his supernatural speed and strength. He overpowers the hunter effortlessly, barely breaking a sweat. This is where the story takes a definite turn toward the paranormal.
This scene, it isn't just about action and spectacle. It confirms what we've suspected all along. Beau is not human, and it sets up the central conflict of the novella, the clash between Beau's hidden world and the normalcy that Millie represents.
And as if one crazed hunter wasn't enough, things escalate quickly. At a baby shower, no less. Millie spots a group of hunters, matching outfits, stakes, the whole 9 yards, and realizes they're after Beau. It's a chilling reminder. Their romance is unfolding against a backdrop of prejudice and violence.
This juxtaposition, the mundane, a celebration of new life with the looming threat of death, it's a clever way to heighten the tension. It reminds us that Beau and Millie's love story is far from a fairy tale. Their happiness is constantly threatened by forces that seek to destroy Beau simply for what he is.
Millie's desperate attempt to warn Beau. Before the hunters arrive, it's a nail-biter. She sneaks into his house, the windows are locked, and there's a near miss in the dark. Had me holding my breath.
Those locked windows, more than just a plot device, hint at Beau's vulnerability to sunlight. Classic vampire weakness ties Forever Magnolia back to the larger mythology.
Right. And that near miss in the dark adds another layer of tension, highlights the urgency of Millie's mission, the risks she's willing to take for Beau, even though she doesn't fully understand him yet. But before we get to the grand finale, let's circle back to Millie for a second. She's back in Hearth, licking her wounds from a bad relationship. Now she's facing the possibility of falling for a vampire. It's a lot to process.
Exactly. What makes Millie so compelling is her internal struggle. She's drawn to Beau, but she's also wary. It's not just about the supernatural element, it's about her own vulnerability, her fear of being hurt again.
And Beau, despite being a vampire, embodies many of the classic romantic hero qualities. He's strong, protective, and there's a vulnerability beneath that brooding exterior.
Beau's character goes beyond the typical bad boy trope, often seen in paranormal romance. He's a Byronic hero, a figure marked by both darkness and a deep capacity for love. His past, we only get glimpses, hints at a tragic history, adding another layer to his allure.
It's like those locked windows. symbolize more than just his weakness to sunlight. They represent the barriers he's erected around himself, the secrets he's hiding. And Millie, in her own way, is trying to break through those barriers.
That's a great observation, their connection. About more than just physical attraction, it's about two souls seeking solace and understanding in a world that often feels hostile or unwelcoming.
Speaking of hostile, let's talk about that showdown at Beau's house. The hunter's attack. Shattering windows. To exploit his supposed weakness to sunlight. Talk about a home invasion. It's a heart-stopping scene, with Beau battling multiple opponents while struggling against the encroaching daylight.
The fight scene, masterfully crafted. It's not just about action, it's about Beau's struggle for survival, both physically and metaphorically. The sunlight represents the societal forces, the ones that seek to expose and destroy him. And the hunters are the embodiment of that prejudice.
And what does Millie do? She jumps right into the fray, even though she's injured. Outmatched. That's some serious bravery.
Millie's decision to fight alongside Beau, a pivotal moment in their relationship. It's a declaration of love that goes beyond words. She's choosing him, accepting him, and all that he represents, despite the risks.
It's interesting because up until this point, she's been somewhat hesitant. But this act of defiance shows how deeply she cares for him, and her actions have consequences. She's injured, but it also solidifies their bond in a way that words never could.
And this leads to a critical turning point in the novella. After the fight, a weakened Beau reveals his true nature to Millie, confirming what the hunter had claimed. He is a vampire.
Okay, this is where things get really interesting. Beau needs to drink Millie's blood to regain his strength. It's a moment fraught with tension, desire, and the ultimate question. Will Millie accept him for what he is?
This scene, not simply about the physical act of drinking blood, it's about trust, vulnerability, and the ultimate act of surrender. Millie's decision to offer Beau her blood isn't just a gesture of love, it's a leap of faith into the unknown.
And it's in this moment
Yeah.
of shared intimacy that the concept of the blood bond comes into play.
Right. The blood bond in vampire lore often represents a powerful, even mystical connection. In Forever Magnolia, it's portrayed as a merging of souls, a bond that goes beyond the physical realm.
So it's not just about the blood exchange. It's about a deeper connection that's formed
Yeah.
through that act. It's like their fates are now intertwined in a way neither could have anticipated.
Exactly. The blood bond isn't just a plot device to create drama. It's a symbolic representation of the enduring power of their connection. It raises questions about free will and destiny. Are they now bound to each other on a supernatural level? Or is their love strong enough to transcend even this mystical connection?
And the novella leaves us hanging a bit, doesn't it? We don't know Beau's ultimate fate, or what Millie's future holds now that she's bound to him. Do you think this ambiguity works in the story's favor? Or does it leave you wanting more? I have to admit, that open ending, it both intrigues and frustrates me. On one hand, it's refreshing that the story doesn't tie everything up in a neat little bow. On the other hand, I'm left with so many questions. What will their lives look like now? Will Millie be ostracized by her community? And what about the hunters?
I think that ambiguity is one of the novella's strength. It forces us, the readers, to grapple with the complexities of their situation. There are no easy answers, and that's precisely the point. Forever Magnolia, it isn't just a paranormal romance. It's a story about acceptance, about challenging our own preconceptions and embracing the unknown.
You're right. It makes you think
Yeah.
about how society reacts to anything outside the norm. The hunters represent that fear of the other, the impulse to destroy anything we don't understand.
And Millie's choice to stand by Beau, despite his true nature. It's a powerful act of defiance against those societal pressures. It suggests that love can transcend fear and prejudice, even when faced with something as seemingly monstrous as a vampire.
It's a reminder that monsters aren't always who we think they are. And sometimes the real monsters are those who persecute others out of fear and ignorance.
That's a poignant observation, the novella. It subtly subverts our expectations of who the real villains are. It asks us to consider whether Beau, despite his supernatural nature, is inherently evil, or if the true evil lies in the hearts of those who seek to harm him, simply for existing.
It also makes you question the nature of free will, especially with the blood bond in play. Are Millie and Beau truly making their own choices, or are they bound by this mystical connection?
That's a question that lingers long after the story ends. The blood bond, it adds a layer of complexity to their relationship. It suggests a destiny that's perhaps beyond their control. But it also raises the question, can love exist without choice? Or does the very act of choosing to be with someone, even under extraordinary circumstances, make that love all the more powerful?
It's like the novella is saying that love itself is a kind of magic, a force that can bind people together in ways that defy logic and reason. And if a connection, this strong, can exist between a human and a creature of darkness, what does that say about the nature of love and the choices we make?
That's the brilliance of Forever Magnolia. It doesn't provide easy answers. Instead, it leaves us with a series of thought-provoking questions about love, acceptance, and the boundaries we create between ourselves and the unknown.
So, for all of you listening, as you delve into the world of Forever Magnolia, I'd ask you this. What resonated with you the most? Was it the heart-pounding action, the forbidden romance, or those unsettling questions about what lurks beneath the surface of our everyday lives?
This novella certainly offers a fresh perspective on the vampire myth. It challenges our preconceived notions and asks us to consider the possibility that even in darkness, there can be beauty, and even in the face of fear, there can be love.
And maybe, just maybe, that's a reminder we all need sometimes that love can bloom in the most unexpected places, defying all odds, and challenging everything we thought we knew. Something to ponder as you turn off the lights tonight. Sweet dreams.